So Unit 4, Lesson 4, we are going to take all the exponent laws we talked about and put them together, mix them all up. So you need to know how to use all of them. But before we do that, there's basically some rules to follow for using your exponent rules. You want to use power of a power first. So that's the very first thing. So if you have a bracket with two exponents, that's what you do first. Then you do your multiplication division rules. Then you do negative exponent rules. So that means you're going to do your flipping of fractions, and then you can evaluate. Don't use decimals. So we leave our negative exponent rule to the very end is the moral of the story. We do everything else first. So if I look at A, I see there's a negative exponent. I'm not going to do any flipping. I am going to look at the question and see that it's multiplying. So I'm going to use my multiplying rule, which means that I will add my two exponents together. Negative 8 plus 12 is 4. And now that I've added them together, there's no more negative exponents, so I don't have to worry about flipping anything. I'm just going to get out my calculator and do 4 to the exponent 4, which will give me 256. So look at the next question again. There's a negative exponent, but there's also dividing. So I do my dividing before my negative exponent, which means I keep my base and I subtract my exponents. Careful subtracting a negative exponent. I have 6 take away negative 2, which is really 6 plus 2, which gives me negative 2 to the 8. So I have 2 to the exponent 8, which is 256. C, I have 1 base and 2 exponents, so that's my power rule. I'm going to multiply my exponents and keep my base. Negative 6. I'm left with a negative exponent, so I flip it around and make it into a fraction. And by making it a fraction, that means that I get rid of my negative. So I've got 1 over 15,625. I keep going with my examples. Another dividing question with a negative base. I keep my base and subtract my exponents. 2 take away 5 would mean I would have a negative exponent. A negative base and a negative exponent don't cancel the negatives. To get rid of the negative exponent, I flip my base around and I make my exponent positive, and I would have negative 1 over 4 to the exponent 3, which would be 64. Negative 1 over 64. Now look at E. I see a negative exponent but no flipping around. I also see there's brackets for multiplying, and I have the same base. So I keep my base, and I'm going to add my exponents when I'm multiplying. And so I'd have 3 to the exponent 4, which is 1 over 81. And same thing with F. I have 1 over 8 to the exponent 10 divided by 1 over 8 to the exponent 12. I'm going to keep my base and subtract my exponents, which gives me a negative 2. And then I've got to flip my base around. So I have 8 over 1 to the positive 2, which is 64. So basically we're taking our exponent laws and doing a bunch of practice with them, making sure we leave the negative rule to the very end using all the other rules first. You'll be able to practice that on page 369, number 8.